Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in this update we are going to check out XRP's price chart and see what is happening in the short term. And the spoiler alert, I think we are still kind of on the bullish track, but before all that we are going to talk about this very important article. So it seems like that Malaysia's central bank just dropped a working paper that casually mentions XRP as a possible alternative, pay attention, this is important, to regular bank deposits and even physical cash. Yup, you heard that right. They are talking about XRP and not Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves and be like extremely bullish and say it's all perfect and XRP is going to go to the moon, let's just break this down. This is not just some influencer tweet or Reddit hype. No, it's an actual document from a central bank, and what they are saying is that private tokens, like for example XRP, could be used as means of payments outside of banking system. That, in my view, is a very bold statement coming especially from a government institutions. They didn't just throw XRP's name randomly in here. No, they straight up dismissed Bitcoin and also Ethereum for being simply too volatile and not scalable enough for mainstream payments, which, let's be honest, is not exactly news these days. But hearing this from a central bank, it really does hit different. Now, Malaysia is also working on its own CBDC, central bank digital currency, which is something that they call, I think, Project MA4. But here is the twist. Instead of just pushing their CBDC, they are actually considering XRP, again, XRP, as a complementary or alternative solution. And that's like, for example, building your own car and still saying, you know what, maybe we should still keep that Lexus just in case. And look, let's be honest, this doesn't mean that XRP is all of a sudden going to become Malaysia's official currency or anything like that. Absolutely not. The paper is kind of exploratory. It's more like a what-if scenario than a signed deal. But still, the fact that XRP is even in these types of conversations at this level, that's, in my opinion, very important and significant. So, we are going to talk about what is happening in the short, mid, and long term in terms of TA and especially my field of works, Elliott waves. But for now, just let that sink in. A central bank is openly talking about using a private crypto token as part of its national financial infrastructure. Do you honestly believe that with fundamentals like this, XRP is going to go to the zero and the bull run for XRP is over, and we are going to have, starting from the current point, effective immediately a massive downturn in order to set new lows? I find that extremely hard to believe, and the charts certainly do tell a very different story. Why? Let's go on maybe daily chart. Okay, so in my view, in the long term in XRP, we had starting from the lowest low all the way down here. I'm not really sure why the chart isn't actually loading in here, but trust me, these candles do exist. This is a 5-wave up into a wave 1, followed by a WXY into wave 2, a strong impulse on the upside back in 2017's bull run into wave 3, and then we got into a 7-year long-term consolidation pattern. Who knows? Maybe even in form of an ABCDE, according to some people, a triangular structure. And right now we are on our way up to complete the subwaves for a magnificent wave 5. Now, it's very important to understand that in terms of Elliott waves, long-term corrections usually lead to massive explosions. And if I just hide everything, okay, as you can see in XRP, recently we barely just set an all-time high and took the highest high all the way up here about, let's say, $3.4. And this to me is not really a massive explosion, given the fact that we had this absolutely insane long-term consolidation pattern. That, in my view, is a very important reason to believe that our bull run in XRP is simply not over yet. And when you zoom in a bit more, you also come up with the same conclusion. In my view, from the lowest low, this is probably a wave 1, correction for 2, and then 5-wave up into wave 3. And at the moment, we might be on our way to complete a correction for wave 4. And what's going to happen next? Yep, you know it, another move up into wave 5. And I think in the next phase of the bull run in XRP, we can actually even reach to about $10 plus. I think that is actually possible. And here's the situation. There is actually even a chance that in the short term, the final low is already in. Why? Because you can say this is 1, this is 2, big 5 wave up into wave 3, maybe to about here or here, doesn't really matter. And followed by that, we are having a correction structure into wave 4 and yet another move up into wave 5. And if you remember in the previous video about XRP, we were, I think, right in here. And the idea was that we want to see a consolidation pattern, a very slow and choppy move down, followed by yet another move up in order for us to be very much bullish and say the low is already in. Why? Because in terms of Helios waves, if you want to say we have hit our final low, then okay, you need to be able to find off of the lowest low a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. This specific example is called an impulse. Rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, wave 3 is simply not allowed to be the smallest wave. And for our sub waves, okay, you know the story in case that you are a regular viewer of the channel. We need to be able to find 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. And for wave 2 and 4, we can have different scenarios. Let's say, sure, WXY into wave 2 and then ABC into wave 4. Let's go on the live chart and see what is happening. Okay, so straight up, I am able to find 5 up in here, correction down, yet another 5 wave on the upside. And the idea back around these areas in the previous video was that, okay, we are really hoping that this is going to be on a higher degree, a 1, 2, 3. And if this is happening, then okay, what are we going to have for our next move? Hopefully a wave 4, followed by yet another move up into wave 5, which again, you want to remember, this is at that point going to be a very optimistic sign suggesting, you know what, maybe we have hit our final low. So what is going on at the moment? You see, I still believe this can actually be a correction structure, maybe an ABC, or I'm going to say actually a WXY in form of a double zigzag. And here is why. Let's go on 15-minute time frame. Okay, so I think this is definitely now an ABC down if you want to be bullish, followed by that a correction in XRP started from this point, and the end of it is going to be right in here. And in terms of the pattern, I think we may have in here a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excuse me. Let's just take the object again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is from this point like an A, B, C zigzag down. This can be an A correction for wave B, another small move up into our C leg. So on a higher degree, I'm trying to tell you this is basically an A, B, C running flat, and we might be at the moment on our way down to have, I don't know, maybe yet another A, B, C zigzag. And at that point, what are we going to have overall? Yep, you guessed it right, a WXY in form of a double zigzag. Now, pay attention, this is very, very important. If you want to be a bit more bullish in XRP with more confidence, I think you actually need to wait a little bit more and see a move up in order to take this important high up here about, let's say, $3.3. Why? Because if you want to actually say that our move up is over already and we're going to be soon on our way down to setting lows, then okay, naturally off of the highest side, you need to be able to find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. And if we get a move up and at that point we take this high, then okay, at that point finding a 5 wave in this whole face down is actually going to be a bit of a challenge. And I'm not going to say it's like absolutely impossible. No, that is simply not the case. In fact, I think you might be able to find like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down in form of an expanding leading diagonal. But here is the thing that I'm trying to argue. I'm trying to tell you, if we get a strong move up, meaning a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without a lot of overlapping of the waves in order to take this high, at that point, maybe we shouldn't really consider the bearish count as our primary case. And we should probably say, you know what, this is a correction structure, and on a higher degree, this is 1, this is 2, and what's next? Great move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. On the other hand though, at any given moment, we should be 100% objective and be able to find a bullish and also a bearish count at the same time. So this is in the interest of that. And what you do not want to see is a move down in XRP in order to take this low down here about, let's say, $2.9, starting from the current point or maybe like a bit higher. Why is that? Because again, the same reason. If we do take the lows, then okay, finding an impulse in this phase up at that point is going to be a bit of a challenge. And we are going to argue either in XRP, we're going to have some more chopping around, which is going to make a lot of people angry and shake them out of their trades. Or maybe we're just going to go straight down in order to take the lows down here about $2.7. Is that going to be necessarily like a very, very bearish sign? Absolutely 100% not, in my view, in Ripple. As long as we are staying above this important level between $2.5 to about $2.7 in the short term, we are 1000% good to go up, and there's simply nothing to be worried about. And any kind of move on the downside, or maybe some sideways price action, is just going to be, from my POV at least, interpreted as simple noises, meaning at one point, one way or the other, we are set for a great move up. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in XRP's price chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent DA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.